Good, happy Sunday, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. Let's begin. 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for July 7, 2019. Let's take a look and see what candidates are in New Hampshire today. Tulsi Gabbard has 2 events today in New Hampshire. Her first stop is a meet and greet at Apotheca in Goffstown, New Hampshire at 11 o'clock a.m. happening right now. And then her second stop is a meet and greet at the Community House, 5 Union Street in Milford, New Hampshire at 2 p.m. Kirsten Gillibrand, she has 4 stops today in New Hampshire. Her first stop is affordable housing event in Stafford County, New Hampshire at 10 o'clock a.m. Her second stop is a house party at the home of Terie Norelli in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 12 p.m. Her third stop is New Hampshire Rebuilding Walk for Independence Forum Big Money Politics in New Hampshire in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 2 p.m. And her fourth stop is holding Equal Citizens Democrats Town Hall in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 4 p.m. And Amy Klobuchar, she has 2 stops today in New Hampshire. First stop is at Tuckerman Brewing in Conway, New Hampshire at 12 p.m. And then her second stop is house party at the home of State Rep. Edie DesMarais in Wolfeboro, New Hampshire at 3 p.m. And those are the candidates that are in New Hampshire today. Amherst's 4th of July parade features 5 presidential candidates. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
I'm a soldier. I've served over 16 years in the Army National Guard and deployed twice to the Middle East. I know...
Birthday, America! In New Hampshire, we hold this truth to be self-evident. When the Amherst Parade steps off on the 4th of July, the year before a first-in-the-nation primary, presidential candidates from around the country will turn out in strength.
New Hampshire has such a history. Like, we don't, in our parades in Minnesota, we don't have those colonial features. We didn't have that. And it's just wonderful to be here. This is one of the birthplaces of freedom.
Senators Amy Klobuchar and Kirsten Gillibrand marched with big crowds of supporters.
1776, we fought for this country. We fought for our democracy. We fought for the right to be a free people. We've been working on that freedom for all people over the last 200 years.
White House hopeful Tulsi Gabbard brought some aloha spirit from her home state of Hawaii.
It's great to be here. It's a beautiful day. Tons of supporters and just people coming out. Just as a reminder of how much we appreciate the freedoms that we have in this country.
Most candidates have several parades to attend today, so that means they need a strategy to stay cool.
Well, lots of sunblock. I got a few shirts in the car and just try to move around and meet as many people as possible.
John Delaney has already held more than 100 campaign events in New Hampshire. Former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, mounting a Republican primary challenge to President Donald Trump, is also focused on the Granite State. He says the 4th is the essential American holiday.
To me, it's celebrating the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, 1776 and 1787, and how far we've come, and we just have a tremendous amount to be grateful for as a country.
In Amherst, Adam Sexton, WMUR.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire 4th of July parade traditional stops for presidential candidates. Parade gives candidates a chance to reach voters. Let's take a listen to that video from Adam Sexton.
First out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
It's parade season in the New Hampshire primary, perhaps the only time when a state that prides itself on the small, personal scale of its politics readily encourages presidential campaigns to go big.
The 4th of July is a moment of reflection to realize the precious value of freedom.
The Independence Day parades in Amherst and Merrimack have been a first-in-the-nation staple for decades. A chance to shake hands, kiss babies, and try to make the kind of instant connection that can pay off in February.
The fact that he's here and, a lot of the other candidates aren't here, they send supporters, but he's here and that means a lot to me.
Before social media, parades provided candidates a built-in crowd and a target-rich opportunity to show off their retail campaigning skills.
I love July 4th because you can shake a lot of hands. I'm a grassroots candidate. You meet a lot of people.
In 2015, Senator Lindsey Graham shared his simple strategy. Don't waste time on non-voters.
Are you from New Hampshire? If you're not, take a hike. Don't let the door itch in the butt. No, just thanks for coming out. Thanks for caring about your country.
New Hampshire's primary will always be about the people and giving everyone in the race a fair shot. While Independence Day parades aren't town halls, they do allow candidates and voters to celebrate together the ideals of that more perfect union we seek every 4 years.
I think this is America as we would like it to be in every part of the country. I think this is people out celebrating their freedom, celebrating their communities, their city, their country. And obviously, there's no place in America better to be on the 219th birthday of America than in New Hampshire, where the slogan of your state is live free or die.
Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Gillibrand launches 7-day campaign swing through New Hampshire. Democratic presidential candidate focuses on the North Country. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Kirsten Gillibrand feels right at home in the North Country, saying it shares a lot in common with her home base in upstate New York.
It's very similar. Rural economies, small towns, small cities, lots of small businesses, agriculture, value-added agriculture, some manufacturing, and a real sensibility about community.
Right now, those communities are a top priority. The senator is kicking off an extended campaign swing through first-in-the-nation New Hampshire, a busy 7 days that will see her crisscrossing the state and making stops in all 10 counties.
Just talking to people about their lives, about what kind of representation they actually want in Washington. They need a president who will fight for them, a president who understands their concerns, fears, and worries.
The duration of the trip is a level of commitment to the Granite State few, if any, candidates have made so far this cycle. And the hope is the work and attention will pay off for a contender who's yet to see a bump in the polls, but is still drawing interest from voters.
I was very impressed. I agreed with all that she had to say. And I was very glad that I came out. I live just right down the street, so I thought, hey, why not?
A focus of this trip for the senator is money in politics and campaign finance reform. She'll be joining a New Hampshire Rebellion Granny D Walk over the weekend.
You tell me any so-called unsolvable problem, whether it's gun violence or global climate change or wanting health care as a right and not a privilege, I will show you the special interest standing in the way.
In Lancaster, Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. "2020 U.S. Census being printed without citizenship question. Trump asked lawyers to delay census." Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
The Census Bureau started printing hundreds of millions of documents just days after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against adding a question asking every person living in the United States, "Are you a citizen?" President Trump replied to the ruling in a tweet saying, "Seems totally ridiculous that our government and indeed country cannot ask a basic question of citizenship in a very expensive, detailed, and important census. In this case for 2020, I have asked the lawyers if they can delay the census." The ACLU's Voting Rights Project says the census is meant to count everyone in America every 10 years, and the question could discourage honest participation from millions, mostly minorities. All sides agree there is a lot at stake. The census determines how many congressional districts each state gets and how $675 billion in federal money is spent.
Whenever you put a barrier and you ask kind of an intimidating question for some folks, it could be bad. There are a lot of people who live in mixed status housing here in just not just New Hampshire, but the rest of the country. So we want to make sure that they all get the proper count.
And the U.S. Census Bureau says next March, most Americans will receive an invitation in the mail to take the census online. Others will fill out a paper survey.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report from G. Mackin. Delaney holds 100th New Hampshire campaign event. Democratic presidential candidate plans to march in 4th of July parades. Democratic presidential candidate John Delaney held his 100th New Hampshire campaign event on Tuesday afternoon. Congratulations to John Delaney. Trump reaches career high approval, yet faces a range of re-election risk. Poll. Blasters by strong economic, Donald Trump reached the highest job approval rating of his career in the latest ABC News/Washington poll, and runs competitively for re-election against 4 of the 5 possible Democratic contenders. Yet he remains broadly unpopular across personal and professional measures, making his vulnerabilities in the 2020 election. And that does it for this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of Politics with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone, and goodbye.